there's an extreme of that where we can really go into resistance and actually push against life. And when we do that, we close our sense of receiving. We disconnect from life. We go into that space of aloneness, actually, and we separate ourselves from the flow of life. Welcome, bienvenue, bonjour to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. For women who desire to awaken their heartfelt desires, trust themselves fully, and connect with their soul's purpose through beauty. On y va. Let's go. Hello, bonjour, and welcome to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. This is Tara. I am coming to you today from Paris. My husband always says, can you do podcasts that are evergreen? And here's the thing. Yes and no, meaning that everything that I share with you is timeless. All the content, all of the conversation is going to be timeless. And yet for me, as I'm leaning into real authentic conversations with you, I share where I am in the world, what season it is, what's going on. Because for me, it allows me to connect more fully with the conversation. So I am in Paris, France, and yesterday I just celebrated my 48th birthday. I've gotten a lot of questions on how I feel about this. And I feel a mixture of things. I feel like, wow, how did this happen? Feels a little scary. Definitely feeling that way closer to 50, right? 47 was closer to 45, and now I'm closer to 50. So there's definitely some head stuff around that. And at the same time, there's this incredible amount of gratitude and commitment and devotion to allowing myself to fully express and experience everything that I desire. So that's been taken up a notch, I would say. So what I want to talk to you about today, as I've been reflecting on the podcast, I want to talk to you about how it is we react and respond when life doesn't go exactly the way we want. And I'm going to encourage you to listen to the nuance inside of this conversation, because it's something our mind can try to make sense of and try to delineate in a way that we understand versus our hearts, our feelings, our bodies. So I'm going to invite you to listen from that space inside. And I want to share with you a little story. Actually, before I share with you a story, I want us all to feel into the context of living our beautiful soul-led life. That's why we're here. That's what this podcast is about. That's why you're here, right? That devotion, that intention inside of you to live a beautiful soul-led life. Knowing that inside of that, the foundation of living a beautiful soul-led life is to experience life fully. We have our lean back and live you fully program, right? Leaning back into life, trusting yourself, trusting life, and experiencing that which you desire. With that, there can sometimes come, and I'm raising my hand here, right? If you're listening to this on Spotify, then you're not seeing me on video. I'm raising my hand. If you can identify with that part inside that feels like if you are going to have everything that you desire, then you have to somehow control your external circumstances. That if you are going to live in into your beautiful soul-led life, then you have to make sure everything is just so. That place inside of us that wants to control the outside, that wants to protect, that wants to preserve, that wants to prepare so that we can get what we want, right? It makes a lot of logical sense. And again, slowing it down and feeling how many times we bought into that illusion, because it's very, very easy to do. Those of us that are go-getters, those of us that are highly driven, which I imagine you are, or you wouldn't be here either, right? That deep, deep level of devotion. And yet inside, and I've learned this more and more, and when I reflect on being 48, this truth that there is such a surrender, there is such an opportunity to allow life to move towards us. So feel into that and see where you might be operating on that scale currently in your life. Are you squeezing your beautiful soul-led life? Are you trying to make things happen? Are you trying to control outside circumstances or people, even subtly, because you feel like that's the way you get what you want? So I want to talk today, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of a story and share with you how the indie fem type is incredibly supportive to us moving into a higher level of receiving when it comes to our beautiful soul-led life. So as I shared earlier, yesterday was my birthday. Oh, like talk about feeling into and creating the vision for the perfect day. My son Mason's birthday is February 4th. He would have been 22. And the next day, February 5th, is my birthday, my grandpa's birthday. There's always this real culmination of energy. My grandma's birthday is February 9th. February is a big month for me. So we decided, my husband and I, to get on a plane. I was going to say last night, but it would have been the night before last on February 4th, and wake up in Paris on my birthday. I mean, talk about perfection, right? Like, does it get any better than that? I don't think so. Like when I look at planning things and I look at creating things, like wake up in Paris on your 48th birthday, like, doesn't get any better. Doesn't get any better. So we woke up in Paris. We had a chauffeur pick us up at the airplane door, took us to a beautiful car, drove us into Paris, got checked into the hotel. We're upgraded to this beautiful apartment. There were, I don't know how many roses. It's definitely more than 12, a bunch of white roses waiting, just gorgeous, like just one unfolding thing after another, like, right? It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm getting ready for dinner and everything's going beautifully. And the end of the day, and the details don't matter because we can get stuck in the details. The end of the day didn't go exactly how my mind and my ego would have wanted it to go, the way I would have perfectly visioned it. And we get stuck in this, right? And I definitely can. And this is something I haven't shared in as much detail as I want to going forward, because I teach a lot about visions and I teach a lot about desires and I teach a lot about that co-creation of allowing ourselves to create what we want, to define what we want. But what happens when we don't get what we want? How do we respond? How do we react? So back to the story. The end of the day turned out a little bit differently. There was a little bit of disappointment in my formula. And as this was coming up, I was really witnessing myself, because what I have had a tendency to do in the past, and maybe you can relate, is when things start to not go the way I want them to go, I get tight inside. I might get a little spiky. I might get a little silent treatment. I might go into overcompensation, trying to fix the situation, trying to control the situation, trying to control people, like this kind of lurching feeling, this grabby feeling of I have to fix this. And inside of that, which again, the ego and the mind, it makes a lot of sense. If something's not going exactly the way you want, fix it, do something about it. There's an extreme of that where we can really go into resistance and actually push against life. And when we do that, we close our sense of receiving. We disconnect from life. We go into that space of aloneness, actually, and we separate ourselves from the flow of life. And again, it's very tempting. It can make a lot of sense in our mind. Let me fix this. Let me control it. I don't like it. Let me do something about it. There's an alternative that I want to share with you. And this is why inside of Lean Back and Live You Fully, I'm infusing this brand new frequency and vibration of this gorgeous dance of staying open no matter what. So I was witnessing myself last night at dinner, and I was witnessing the thoughts that were coming up. That place inside of my consciousness of, I don't like this, I want this to be like this, I want this to be better, why, that place that we can go inside. And feeling that tension in my body. And I was consciously, and this is something that's really top for me this year. My theme, if you joined us Sensual Creation Day, you have your theme and your intention for the year. My theme this year is unbridled power. So that opportunity to stay open to my power, that opportunity to stay open to choice, that opportunity to be aware of, are we activating the fullness of our power inside? Not trying outside first. So I was witnessing myself yesterday. And as I continued to breathe, this conscious place inside of, Tara, keep yourself open. Keep yourself open. Doesn't mean you have to like everything, but instead of trying to fix it, instead of controlling it, instead of shutting down, instead of pulling away, instead of distancing yourself from life, stay open. Stay open to it all. Because again, this idea that creating and living into our beautiful soul-led life is always going to look a certain way sets us up for feeling miserable, sets us up for the idea that we're doing something wrong, sets us up for the idea that we can actually fail at this. And we can't, right? You can't fail at life. Stop making yourself wrong and consider that in the moments when things aren't turning out or looking like they're not turning out exactly the way you desire, can you stay open? So the indie fem type is the fem type that supports us to increase our capacity to receive. So I want to support you today with an exercise to move through the fem types that when, not if, but when life presents itself in a way that you don't like, when things happen to go in a direction that you do not like. And again, this could be anything from something really subtle, like somebody cutting you off, to something, very monumental in your life, like losing someone you love or not getting pregnant or not, like whatever it might be, those huge visions that we have, and those subtle things of like, I want it to be sunny today and it's raining, damn it. Right? So that across the board, that place inside that has a tendency to pull back, contract, and unconsciously, many times, stop the flow of life, stop the flow of receiving. The first place that you're going to feel this is in your body. So actually, before we move into the exercise, I'm going to invite you to consider right now, and then certainly throughout the week, consider right now how you currently respond and react when things don't go the way you want. Do you get angry? Do you get antsy? Do you pull back from life? Do you have the silent treatment? Do you go into complete overdrive and fix it mode? Do you complain? Do you get negative? Do you get super triggered and blame everybody around you? Like, what is your current response? And feel it in your body, because no matter how you frame it inside, typically the feeling is going to be a contraction. It's going to be a tightening. It's going to be a closing. And our intention is, instead of going into that default, is to stay open and even consider yourself opening more inside of that space. So let's talk about the indie for a minute. So again, the indie fem type, which I already explained, is the fem type that supports us with our sense of receiving. She's the fem type that's located 2 to 3 fingertips below the belly button in what we call, inside of Elegant Femme, the power of sensuality. So if you feel into this context for yourself, the power of sensuality, and feel that tender space 2 to 3 fingertips below your belly button. This is where inside of Elegant Femme we say the indie resides. This is a very grounding space. So when life is presenting something that you don't like, instead of gripping in that area, can you breathe into your power of sensuality? Again, if you're seeing me on video, right, 2 to 3 fingertips below the belly button. And you might notice that as you go through life, you grab that part of you, like when you're like feeling guided or you're feeling emotion, right? So breathing into your power of sensuality. And I verbally will tell myself, I'm staying open. I'm continuing to open my power of sensuality. I'm continuing to receive. I'm continuing to receive. I'm letting life move through me. Now, the Frenchie is located in the solar plexus. So the Frenchie fem type, which you've heard me talk about so much, and if you haven't and you want deeper understanding of the fem types, you can certainly go back to the first couple of episodes inside of the Beautiful Soul-Led Life. Or if you want to take it a lot deeper, you can join us inside of our Lean Back and Live You Fully program, which is our foundational program where I teach everything about the fem types. So the solar plexus is where we find our Frenchie. Our Frenchie fem type has everything to do with pleasure, with body image, and with our association with beauty. So again, this is a place that we can close if we don't like what's happening. We tend to close to the people around us, right? We distance ourselves from relationship. We distance ourselves from pleasure. We get this idea like, it's not going the way I want, so F it, right? We can very much come from an all or nothing place. So breathing into your solar plexus, really connecting with your Frenchie and inviting yourself, like, there's still something here that I can enjoy. There's pleasure still available for me. I can still feel good regardless of what's going on. And I don't have to close myself off from other people, right? We don't have to go into protection mode. And the final fem type is the New Yorker, which it surprises a lot of people. It certainly surprised me when I received this download, is that the New Yorker is located in the heart. She's not located in the head. She's in the heart. This is a big one. This is a really, really big one. When life isn't going the way you desire. So the New Yorker has everything to do with prosperity, power, and allowing. Allowing. So when life is presenting something that you don't like, again, the weather, you don't like your meal, you don't like what's happening, you don't like that someone cut you off, you don't like what your husband said, you don't like that person's reaction, you don't like that, what you fill in the blank. Breathing into your heart and consciously connecting with your New Yorker. Allowing your heart to stay open. Our New Yorker is the fem type that supports us inside of our experience, the physical world experience. Inside of Elegant Femme, we are all about integrating the spiritual and the physical. So if you close your heart, again, as we talked about in the very beginning, you are cutting yourself off from life, and you're actually cutting yourself off from the experience. We don't know. We think we do. We do not know why everything is happening. Our minds can make really easy sense of right and wrong, black and white, this should be, this shouldn't be. But the truth is, we do not know. We don't know what energies are being cleared. We don't know what energies are being orchestrated. We don't know what karma is being created or cleared. We just don't know. And when we close ourselves, when we don't like what's happening, again, we're closing ourselves off from life. We're closing ourselves off from the experience. We're actually missing out on life. And this is a lot of times where we will go into what we call inside of Elegant Femme, the faux New Yorker. And again, go into overdrive and control, and we end up in burnout and exhaustion, wasting our energy, spending our energy in ways that don't really serve us. So this week, I'm going to invite you to consider, as life continues to move, and there will be moments that you love. And actually, inside of those, we didn't go into this today, and we can deepen it certainly if you would like to. We tend to do this whether things are going exactly like really, really high, beautiful the way we want, because it can feel scary to let things be so good, or the other extreme. Either way, keep yourself open and allow the fem types to support you in keeping your sense of receiving open, keeping your opportunity for increased pleasure, and keeping your heart open to experience all that life is presenting. So let me know how this episode serves you, what comes up inside of you, how you experience yourself this week. And as always, I love your comments. I love your questions. If you feel congruent, I'd love for you to leave a little review. Let me know how this is serving you. And breathe in to life this week. Consider what's available to you if you stay open. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Merci for listening to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. I would love if this message served you, that you support it and share it with other women who might benefit from really having their lives in balance with their fem types. And if you can leave a comment, do a review. I love reading every single one of them. And I would adore if you could take a snapshot of yourself wherever you listen to this episode and post it on social media. My Instagram is elegantfemme1, and I'd love to see you, share you, and just celebrate with you as you are moving into creating, experiencing, and claiming your own beautiful soul-led life.